Hi everyone, welcome to MLS 5360 Leadership on the Border. I'm your instructor Art Aguirre. You can call me Art, Dr. Aguirre, Dr. A. Any of those will suffice, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm excited to have this class with you all. As you know, it's a completely online course, so everything that you'll need will be provided to you on Blackboard. I know I've had a few students curious if we have a textbook. We do not have a textbook. I thought we could save some money, or it could save you all some money by going without a textbook for this course. So I hope you all gain the insights that I kind of were hoping for you all to gain as I put together the syllabus for this course. So let's go ahead and get started here. So here's all my information. In terms of my online office hours, I will log into Skype on both days. So Wednesdays 1:30 to 4 p.m., Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30. I don't usually have a lot of drop-ins on my online office hours. So what I want to do to encourage folks to drop by in case it's a little bit easier for you all to get onto Zoom. I know a lot of folks have been Zooming, given everything that's going on, is on Thursdays, in addition to signing on to Skype, I'm going to put a link into Blackboard for a weekly Thursday online office hours. So you can just log into that on Thursdays if you want to reach me there. So I'll be both on Skype and Zoom on Thursdays. For Skype, that's my username. Just plug that in, and then you can add me, and then we can start chatting or hop onto a video call, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's my email address. I also want to let you all know that I usually try to get rid of the messaging function within Blackboard, just because it is easier for me to get back to students quicker using my UTEP email. So if you need to message me, exclusively use the UTEP email address. I can also provide you all with my phone number. That way, if you need to text me or call me or something along those lines, you have access to me. Now, in terms of the course description, I put together this course understanding or with the belief that we need to understand the people and the culture and the history of the border in order to have a fundamental understanding of what has happened to then inform how we become better leaders on the border, or how, for those who are already in leadership positions, how to improve what we're already doing. So we have a mix of leadership concepts, communication concepts, because that's my background, and some Chicano studies at the very beginning to inform us of that history and that culture. All of our required materials are going to be on Blackboard. So every week, there's a folder there, and the articles that you all need to read will be in there. So the only thing you really need for this course is an internet connection, your UTEP email, and a connection to Blackboard. So that's it. In terms of a syllabus overview, okay, or sorry, in terms of some of the main concepts I want to go over in terms of how I run and operate this class. Blackboard is where you're going to be finding everything, whether it's our discussion boards, resource material, reading material, where you submit your grades or discussion boards. All of that is going to be on Blackboard. The only exception every so often is when folks have issues uploading their final papers to Blackboard, they'll email them to me. But outside of that, everything we do is through Blackboard. I do require, obviously, because it's an online course, we require a lot of participation, mostly in the discussion boards. So as long as you're keeping up with that, with the requirements that I have in the syllabus, you should be fine. Obviously, and this kind of goes along with the online etiquette, I expect there's going to be a diverse set of ideas and concepts when it comes to the topics that we're covering. As long as we're treating people with respect and we're arguing ideas and not identities, then we're going to be just fine. I'm thankful that I haven't had any issues thus far, but I always like giving that warning that we just need to make sure that everybody in this course, myself included, is treating everybody with the respect they deserve. Okay, so that's the only thing in terms of what I'm expecting for your online etiquette. The other thing too is, even though it's discussion boards, and even though we're used to kind of like the quick pace of like social media, and we kind of sometimes blend the idea of online classes and social media, please make sure you're spell checking and checking the grammar on all your discussion posts when you're posting online. And lastly, if you have ADA accessibility needs, please make sure you reach out to CAST, and they'll make sure they provide me with all the necessary information to get you whatever support that you need. Continuing on with the overview, I don't typically accept late assignments. However, because of everything that's going on, I know everybody has lives outside of this classroom. If something comes up, just give me a heads up, and that way I can try to work with you as best I can. I understand that this is not the only priority you have in your life. There's a lot of other things that are going on. So just reach out to me, make sure you communicate, and we can figure something out. In terms of grade appeals, I have a 24/7 policy, which means you have to wait 24 hours before you start yelling at me, and then you have to appeal to me within 7 days of that. So it's a total of 8 days. But I don't anticipate that being a major issue. The most consistent grades you'll be getting will be on your discussion post. Then you'll have that mid-semester assignment, which I'll go over in a little bit, and then you have your final paper. But if I take off points, the main reason I usually take off points for discussion boards is one of two reasons. One, it's way too short. And two, you're not responding to enough students. And there's like a bare minimum of what's required. Essentially, your Blackboard discussion grade is split up in half, and half of it is for the original post. The other half is for your responses. So if you're not giving those responses, that's typically the reason why you're not getting the full credit on your discussion board. Ethics and academic dishonesty. Essentially, I don't want you to ever feel like you're in a position where you have to cheat or you have to plagiarize or anything along those lines. Throughout the semester, I'm going to kind of emphasize the fact that I'm available to you all, whether it's through my office hours or text messaging or calling or Google Hangouts or FaceTime or Zoom or whatever method you prefer. I'm available to you all. So if you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like you have questions, or you're confused about a particular assignment, just reach out to me so we can figure this out before it gets too close to the end of the semester. And that kind of goes along with this next point of just student-instructor communication. I really emphasize that I'm available to you all and that I want to make sure that we're communicating both well with one another throughout the semester, especially if some of these issues come up. When it comes to my expectations for your work, I can only judge you based on what you turned in and not necessarily on how much time you put into the assignment. That said, when it comes to grad school, I'm of the belief that things are a little bit different than they are in undergrad, right? I'm less concerned with giving you a grade and more concerned with how well I see you participating in class, engaging with the material, engaging with your classmates on the discussion board. So that, as long as I see that's going on, you're not going to have any issues with your grade, right? That's what I'm judging you on, is how well you're working with the material and how much effort you are putting into the coursework, okay? Let's get into the assignments. So the brunt of your grades is going to come from your Blackboard discussions, right? You get 50 points for each discussion point or discussion post every week. And like I said previously, it's split up into half. So 25 points for your original post, and then you get about 12.5 for each of your responses. You need to respond to 2 classmates. You essentially give everybody a free 100 points as long as you're engaged in the course and participating in the discussion boards. It's an easy 100 to add to your grade. Then you have the mid-semester assignment that's worth 200 points, and then your final paper worth 300 points, and that's it. That's all the 4 main things that make up your grade. Now, in terms of the mid-semester assignment, you have some options. I wanted things to be a little bit different and give you all a little bit more autonomy in the class. So here are your options. You can decide to do a leadership interview. You can do it via Zoom, and I think if you're the one hosting, you can record the session and post it to YouTube and then post it to our discussion post. Or you can just do an audio one if you want to transcribe. I mean, it's completely up to you on how you want to do it, but you can just do a leadership interview with someone who is a leader on the border. Secondly, you can do a leadership demonstration. This one's pretty straightforward. Hypothetically, if this was an in-class course, at some point throughout the semester, you would choose a week that you're going to lead the class in the session. So essentially, you get whatever material that we would have used for that week, and you lead a discussion on it however you want. So you could do a PowerPoint presentation. I've seen some students do activities. Essentially, you'd be leading the class for that week. And so for your leadership demonstration, you record yourself conducting this you leading the course or teaching about a particular reading that we have for any given week. And then you upload that to YouTube and put that up in the discussion post link. Then you can, if you don't want to do something in front of the camera, you can do a local leadership profile, which is a written assignment. And you essentially profile a local leader, right? Someone who's been a leader here on the border. how and why they're successful, or you can choose how and why they failed, right? Like, there's a number of ways that you can go with that assignment in terms of providing a profile of someone who was a leader on the border. And then the last option I want to give you all is a create your own assignment. So if there is someone out there who's a really good graphic artist, someone who is a really good filmmaker, so, there's a number of options that you have. If you want to go a different route, just make sure you approach me within the first couple weeks of class, kind of submit what you think you want to do, and then we can talk about how it works and make sure that it fits the criteria of what I'm looking for with this assignment. But I wanted to give you all some freedom in this class, and I felt like that was a good way of doing it by doing this mid-semester assignment. And lastly, we have the final paper. Okay, so this is 10 to 12 pages, 5 to 8 sources. 4 of them have to be academic articles, and 2 of those have to be academic articles that weren't a part of our reading list. It has to be properly formatted, either APA or MLA format, and you're answering this question in this paper using a number of the things that we've covered in class already, in addition to whatever other sources you bring up. What characteristics, traits, and/or approaches are necessary to successfully lead an organization or team that operates on the U.S.-Mexico border? There's a lot of different ways that you can go with that question. It feels, and I previously when I've taught this course, there are folks who get nervous about how are you supposed to answer this question, such a short question in 10 to 12 pages, but you have to be pretty specific, right? Like, you have to provide the characteristics, traits, and/or approaches that are necessary, but then you have to justify why you think those are the ones that are needed, right? Provide examples. There's a lot of ways to flesh this out. What I'll do later in the semester is provide you with an outline of what I think would be the best approach in kind of putting together an outline for that paper that should help you in kind of identifying how you're going to flesh this out to 10 to 12 pages. But that's the assignment, and that's essentially what the course is. The Blackboard, your participation, your mid-semester assignment, your final paper, that's it. And mainly really engaging with this concept of what it means to be a leader on the border. Lastly, the thing I want to tell you is that this course is taught from a pro-immigration position, right? It is, given how much immigrants have provided and continue to provide for this country, it is impossible to teach this course without, for myself, having a pro-immigration stance. So that you're going to see that in the class. So I need you to keep that in mind as we move forward in the semester. If that's going to be an issue for you, you need to let me know so we can kind of figure that out before the semester really kicks off. And secondly, in terms of the reading, so I sacrifice having to purchase a book, or kind of save you all from having to purchase a book, and chose to go with academic articles. The thing about academic articles, which can be annoying to me as well, is some academics really like using big fancy words to make themselves feel better. Or because that's kind of what folks have been accustomed to. And when it comes to like publication, even some folks who want to create content that is more kind of easier easily to digest for folks who aren't in academia, it becomes more difficult for them to publish. So then they have to kind of adhere to some of these kind of rigid rules when it comes to grammar and spelling and word usage and things like that. So some of the articles can feel a little bit heavy. So my advice to you all is take your time when you're reading those. If there are words you don't know, take the time to figure out what they're saying, especially because we're using some material from Chicano studies that, if they're in Spanish, make sure you take the time to translate those to really understand what they're getting at. Don't focus too much on the very specific details. Really try to get a good grasp on kind of the large, main, broader ideas that the authors are going for. So those are my suggestions to you all, but I'm very eager to get this class started with you all. I'm eager to answer whatever questions you all have, and I hope you enjoy this class, taking this class as much as I'm going to enjoy teaching it.